Assalamualaikum and a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed educators and learning enthusiasts. Welcome to another series of exciting journey towards transforming your lectures into captivating experiences. My name is Sarah from CDAE. Today we are diving into scenario-based learning SBL Part 2. Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam.
In this second part, it will focus on the practical application on the principles that have been discussed in part 1. The presentation will include practical examples, actionable tips and exercises to help participants in applying what they have learned. By the end of the session, it aims to help participants to understand the theory behind scenario-based learning so as to practice the skills to design your own effective learning scenarios. Before we start, let's get to know a little bit of our honorable speaker today, Professor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias, a distinguished fellow at UNITEN and University of Malaysia's adjunct professor. He is a former professor of food technology at the School of Industrial Technology, USM. Professor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias also is a master trainer for ACAP and a writer for the Malaysia Education Blueprint 2015 to 2025 for higher education. As co-chairman of the National Technical Committee, he led the development of Malaysian's MOOC. He is an ardent supporter of utilizing the internet as an alternative learning and teaching medium. Let's not keep you waiting any longer and get started with the webinar session for today on Building Scenario-Based Learning Part 2. Please welcome Professor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias. Prof.
Thank you, Puan Sarah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Selamat sejahtera to all my colleagues, friends from USM. Thank you for joining our webinar session this morning, this part 2 on scenario-based learning. Part 1 was, I think, in early this month, if I'm not mistaken. And you can watch the recording on our CDAE YouTube channel if you missed that part, because today, this morning, I'm going to continue to build up on the first part and focus more on building the scenario. The first part was basically introduction, overview of the what of scenario-based learning, what is scenario-based learning, and why it is important, especially if we want to create very interactive learning activities for our student. And also, if you want to create learning activities to develop the higher order thinking, on the application that C3 and above, application, analysis, evaluation. So scenario-based learning is very appropriate for this purpose. Okay, before I start, just want to here, I can see familiar faces here. Prof. Shamsul, how are you, Prof. Shamsul? Dr. Sodi, yeah, Dr. Sapina, Dr. Sharifa, Dr. Salman, yeah, Dr. Salman also here. So it's good to see you all. Okay, let me first share the link. Usually I share at the end, but since I assume most of the participants here have attended the first one, so you probably have access to the module. But I have updated the module as of this morning, so there are some additional new things I have added in the first module. So let me share the link for you to access the module. Okay. All right, so I've shared the link. You can click the link and bookmark the module, yeah? Okay, let me share the screen. So this is the module, scenario-based learning for cognitive engagement. Part 1, early this month. Level up student cognitive engagement with scenario-based learning. Basically, yeah, excuse me. So if you missed part 1 of the webinar, you can watch the recording here. So if you click this, it will take you to YouTube, CDAE YouTube channel, which I encourage you to subscribe and like the video. Yeah, please support our CDAE. Subscribe, share the link share the YouTube channel in your social media, like the video. So this would give visibility to CDAE YouTube channel. Yeah, please give your support and thank you for that. And I'm not very sure whether I have shared the PowerPoint presentation, the PowerPoint slide to complement this module. I'm not very sure whether I've given you the link in the first webinar. But if not, you can click this and download the slide. There are about 100, more than 100, 113 slides here. And there are some additional stuff here that would complement also the module. So these two documents or materials will help you to explore and learn more about scenario-based learning. So in part 1, basically I covered the what is scenario-based learning and the why. Why would we want to use scenario-based learning? And in part 2, basically, we want to build the scenario. Okay, we create the scenario and then we build the scenario. There are two parts. One is to create the scenario, basically the storyline. The storyline, the challenge, the challenges, the options, the consequence, and so on. So once we have created the scenario, then we will build the scenario in the final form that will be presented to the learners, to the students. So there are two parts. So in this session, this morning, basically focus on that part, building the scenario. And once you learn how to create and build the scenario, you can also use the skill to actually develop interactive stories. Actually, the tool that we're going to use can be used also to create interactive stories. So if you are into writing stories, fiction or non-fiction stories, but the interactive type, then the skill that you learn to create and build scenario-based learning can be used also for that purpose. Yeah, it's very interesting actually. And there are not many people actually have the skill to write interactive stories. And I'll show you some examples. The one that some of the stories, that interactive stories that I have created. So in part 1 of this topic, I've covered the what is scenario-based learning, so I'm not going to say more about this, and what is special about scenario-based learning. And I've explained that in part 1, but I've added new things here. This is a new thing. What can be taught with scenario-based learning? So here are the 4, if you want to decide, okay, whether you want to use scenario-based learning or not for your course or for the lesson. So these are some of the points that would help you or guide you whether you want to use scenario-based learning or not. One is a decision made at a certain point affects how things go later. So scenario-based learning is actually very much to one of the objective of scenario-based learning is to teach our students or to train our students to do decision making. And this the type of decision making that we call it informed decision. Decision based on their knowledge, based on their skill, based on whatever that they have learned, the facts. So they will use the data, the facts, analyze, using this data and information or the facts, analyze the problem given or the scenario given, looking at the context, looking at the issues, and then looking at the data and so on. So they will analyze and then they will make a decision. So this is a decision making. So when if you want to create some activities where you require the students to apply their knowledge in making decision, so scenario-based learning would be one of the activity that you can use. A task requires analysis and problem solving. I think most of our courses probably we can use scenario-based learning for this purpose to teach students to solve problem. So we want to develop the problem solving skill. The scenario-based learning, apart from problem-based learning, project-based learning, scenario-based learning is one of the skill that everyone should have. Yeah. You can also use SBL, scenario-based learning, when there is no single correct solution to the problem. I like this one because we want to create an open-ended problem. There's no one single solution. There can be many solutions. It depends on the situation and the context. So when there is no single correct solution to the problem, scenario-based learning would be a good choice. Another scenario where you want to use SBL is it's difficult to provide real world practice, meaning that we can simulate the real world situation or real world scenario, but to teach student or to bring student into that real scenario, probably not that easy because maybe imagine if you want to take the students to oil rig to teach students about um, how the petroleum is extracted on the oil rig. But it's not easy to bring them over there. There's a lot of security issues and so on. But with scenario-based learning, we can simulate the situation, the scenario, in a safe environment. And we can still teach them the concept, the principles, the problem-solving skill, and so on. So these are the 4 situations which probably in part 1, in the part 1 of the webinar, maybe I have not explained this properly. So I've added this here under what is special about scenario-based learning. Okay, so then the rest of this, I think I have covered in part 1, and I hope those who have attended part 1, you have taken some time to browse some of the examples, a simple scenario-based learning and also branch scenario-based learning. This morning, we will build the scenario using this example, similar to this example. So I will show you how I build this scenario. Okay. Okay. Now let me jump to the PowerPoint slide. There are a few things I want to mention or I want to explain before we start to create and build the scenario, which I think are important for everyone to understand more on this. Okay. Learn by doing with CCAF. This one of the model to create interactive learning activities. And this is especially important if you want to create interactive activities for online learning. Online learning. Example like MOOC, Massive Open Online Course, Micro-Credential, and those ODL program, ODL courses, ya, Open Distance Learning, pendidikan jarak jauh. In the self-instructional material, SIM, ya, I would really highly recommend, highly encourage lecturers from PPJJ to develop scenario-based learning, because from I think students will learn a lot on their own, based on the scenario and the problems that you give them to work on, and whatever options that they take, option A, option B, option C, option D, whether they make mistake or they take the right options, they can still learn based on the feedback that we will give them for each option that they take, that the students take. So this is very interactive, and students will learn from the feedback. So this learn by doing. The students have to do the scenario based, and they can learn from there. So we can create the element in the scenario based learning. We give them the context. So we define the scenario, and in that scenario there will be some form of a challenge. So a meaningful framework and conditions, and a stimulus for or urgency to act. So these are the challenge. For example, imagine we give them a scenario of a fireman, when there's a fire, and what they need to do, to what actions, what decision they have to make to put off the fire. So this is actually the challenge in that particular situation. Activity, a physical response or gesture in response to the challenge. We call it consequence. For every option or action, there will be a consequence. So if I take option 1, there will be a consequence, a corresponding consequence for action 1. If I take action 2, there will be a corresponding um, consequence for that action 2, and so on. And then only they can learn. If I take option 1, this will be the consequence, and it may not be the right or the best consequence. Then we can go back and try another option. So for every option that the students choose in scenario-based learning, they will learn something, provided we give them the right feedback. So that's to me the power of the strength of scenario-based learning. Yeah, the feedback, the reflection back to the learner about the effectiveness of their action. So this is the more explanation. Context, a meaningful framework and conditions provide a real life situation that will resonate with the target learner. And of course, when we design any scenario based learning, it should align to the learning outcome that we want the students to achieve at the end of the course, at the end of the lesson, at the end of that particular lesson. Must be aligned. Yeah. Challenge, a stimulus or urgency to act. Provide real life situation that will resonate with the target learner. Then the activity, a physical response or gesture in response to the challenge, provide the learner with the ability to apply knowledge, make critical decisions, or solve problems related to their work environment. So the scenario that we design actually will require the students to apply, to develop the cognitive skill in the cognitive levels in Bloom taxonomy. Apply the knowledge, analyze the situation, analyze the information given, analyze the data, and then use this to make a choice, to make a decision. So to me, this is a very effective way to teach students to develop the thinking skill, the critical thinking skill, the cognitive skill. And feedback. So what makes scenario-based learning very useful is actually the feedback. The feedback that we, as a course designer, as a scenario designer, uh, to give the right feedback. If the choice the students choose is not the right one, we have to explain why it is not the right one. If the choice is right, is the correct one or the right one or the most appropriate one, then we also have to give explanation or feedback why this choice is the right one. Compare this with normal quiz. Yeah, we give them a questions, then the option A, B, C, D. And then when the students answer, we just say correct, well done, or incorrect, try again. That's not very useful. Yeah, not very useful. So in scenario-based learning, feedback is one of the essential element that you must have. Sometimes we can also give a hint when the students choose the wrong or not the appropriate choice. Then we give them a hint for them to why the choice is not the right one or not the most appropriate one, and then give the hint for them to try another option. We don't give them the right. We don't give them the direct answer. Give them the hint, so they will try again. So there is also another way of designing our scenario-based learning. So I think that's the part that I want to highlight before we start to design. Yeah. Now let's another thing that I want to highlight, yeah, is the anatomy of scenario-based learning. So I just expand from the previous one. There's some message. I missed first part. What's the difference with PBL? Okay. Yeah, Dr. Akmal. There's in the module, there's one section where I explain the difference between scenario-based learning and problem-based learning. Maybe you can refer to that. But later on, towards the end, maybe if you have time, we can discuss this again. Yeah. For now, I will continue. But you can find the explanation, the difference between scenario-based learning and PBL in the module. In this, let me see which section. Yeah. Yeah, scenario-based learning. This section in the module, scenario-based learning versus problem-based learning. So you can find under this section. Boleh Dr. Akmal? Okay, now anatomy of scenario-based learning, the structure. What are the elements? Yeah. Okay, we always actually when you think of scenario-based learning, it's always based on story. So we want to give a scenario or the story. That's why we call it storyline. What's the storyline in the scenario-based learning? So we present the scenario, just like in case study. If you teach using case study, so we present the case, give all the details, describe the situation and so on. So scenario based is also similar, but there's also some differences between scenario based and also case study. Well, you can Google or you can ask ChatGPT what's the difference. But one of the main key differences in scenario-based learning, you can have multiple endings. There is no one single solution. So to answer also to Dr. Nurul Akmal, in problem-based, usually you will have one solution, right? Most of the time. But in scenario-based learning, there could be more than one solutions, more than one ending. Okay, so it is a story. So the story can have also the multiple endings. Okay. In the last webinar, I just go through very quickly this part. But today, because we want to create and build the scenario, so let's spend more time looking at this 5-step plan to build a scenario learning, scenario-based learning. First, identify your target audience and analyze their needs. So if you are teaching a course, of course, you know exactly who is your target audience. But if you are creating a course, micro-credential or MOOC, for example, for a certain target group, so you must understand first, who are they, what's their background, what are their learning needs. So you have to do some form of need analysis. Then what is the specific learning outcome that we want to achieve for that particular SBL? This scenario-based learning is created for this particular lesson. What are the specific learning outcome for that particular lesson? You have the learning outcome for the whole course, but if you are designing this scenario-based learning, you probably you want to align this to a specific learning outcome for the course or specific learning outcome for that particular lesson. Okay, choose a situation for the scenario. Can you identify and prioritize critical or challenging situation? What is the relevance of the scenario to the learners? Can the scenario provide the requisite level of interaction that a situation demands? Are there inherent conflicts in the situation for making difficult situation? So these are the considerations when you are designing the scenario. You look at all of this and consider all these points. Yeah, choose the uh, apt scenario structure. Yes, yeah, choose the appropriate one. Yeah, skill based, because there are I think 5 or 6 different types of scenario based learning. So these are example four of them. Skill based scenario, problem based scenario, issue based scenario, gaming scenario, what else? And there are, I think, one or two more different type of scenario based learning. And then only we design, which we are going to do this morning. Yeah, design your scenario. Identify a trigger event. Sometimes we call it what's the term? Trigger event. Create a believable and relatable protagonist. What are the in scenario-based learning, because we design it as a story. You can have characters, 2 or 3 different characters, and you can have also actually conversation between them. Some scenarios are designed as conversational, meaning that there's a conversation or a chat between the characters, and then you are presented with at some point you are presented with questions, where you need to make decision. Turn feedback into effective instructional tools. As I mentioned earlier, feedback is one of the essential critical element in scenario-based learning. So the four C's to designing meaningful scenario-based learning, and I adapt this one from Christy Tucker. Christy Tucker is one of the few experts, I would say, in scenario-based learning. And I have given the link to her website in the module under resources. You will find I have given two, Christy Tucker and the other lady. They are experts, recognized expert in scenario-based learning. So Christy Tucker suggested that she suggests that there are four C characters: the person who drives the action in the story, then the context of the story, okay, the context of the scenario. The context is the background for the situation, where the scenario is happening. Is it in the factory? Is it in the office? Is it at the airport? The location, yeah, and use relevant image as much as possible. You want to find the appropriate image to illustrate the scenario. And this is where now with AI, we can do this easily, yeah, using ChatGPT. If you have ChatGPT Plus, you can use ChatGPT, the DALI 3 in ChatGPT Plus to create the image. Otherwise, you can use alternative application, which I'm going to show you shortly, how to create the image using ChatGPT if you have ChatGPT Plus. Otherwise, I will show you other alternative to create the image. And the image is not compulsory, but highly recommended, because the image kind of illustrate the scenario, making it more interesting, more engaging, because the learner can visualize the scenario, and also to spice up, making it more interesting. Then consequence, consequence of the action or the option taken. So when we present the scenario, and then the questions, the question is actually for the learner to take action. So the action will be based on the option that we give them. We can give them two options to make it simple, or three, or even four, but usually with two or three options. For each option, there will be some consequence, and then there will be a feedback. Okay, and this is where I would say the power of scenario-based learning here. So learner face a challenge. The other C is the learner is challenge. Learner faces some sort of challenging situation, has to think of a solution. So these are the four C's, the elements that define scenario-based learning. And in most cases, we will have these four C's in our scenario-based learning. Yeah. And when we talk about scenario, we can start with a simple scenario. And most of the time, I think you can use mini scenario. It's quite simple to build, but there can be a lot of learning happen in mini scenario. Because imagine in mini scenario, you can have like two or three options, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. And for each option that the students will take, maybe one of the option will be the most appropriate choice. The other two maybe not so not so appropriate. But all these two or three or four options that we provide, students will learn something, and they will learn from the feedback that we give them for each options. So I will start the first example. We will look at the first example, and then we will build the scenario together. Okay. mini scenario. So I want to focus more on mini scenario. These are best suited for more straightforward learning situation in which a single decision will result in a specific outcome. So there will be maybe one option out of 3, out of 4 would be the most appropriate one. It doesn't mean that it is the correct one, but it can be the most appropriate one. Mini scenarios will help your students improve their problem solving abilities. So C3, C4, basically, even C5 maybe. Branching scenario. So branching scenario is of course more complex than the mini scenario, require more thinking on our part to design it. But with AI can be made easier, but still we need to put in some thinking here. But it's more challenging for us to design and more challenging for students to learn. But it's better because this is where we can get students to go deeper into the concept, into the topic by working on the more complex scenario. And they have to make even more difficult decision. Very powerful, yeah, but it's more difficult to design, more difficult for the student as well. So branching scenario, these scenarios are centered on more complicated situation in which each decision has the potential to alter the outcome of the subsequent scenes. Okay. Branching scenarios are designed to focus on improving your students' critical thinking skills while also challenging their skills and knowledge in different ways. And branching scenarios, there can be also multiple branching and multiple outcome. And this is example of where probably you don't have to have a one correct answer. Okay. But they can also be a situation where all the outcome would finally merge into one single outcome. So there can be many ways of designing this, yeah. And I must admit that I'm not also expert on this one. I have not explored the more advanced scenario-based learning. So the idea here, just to give you the taste of scenario-based learning, the overview, some examples, and then after this, I hope, since you are still teaching, you have the incentive, you have the motivation, the incentive to explore further. In my case, the incentive is not there. So maybe I don't know whether I'm going to explore a more advanced version of building scenario. Yeah? Maybe I would, maybe I will try so that I can offer the more advanced scenario-based learning. Yeah. Okay. So think this at this point probably enough mini scenario. Okay, enough of explaining. So maybe we can start to build. Let's build the scenario. Scenario based learning. Okay, let's look at this example. Okay, example 2 here, which can click here. Will take you to this one. And this scenario is the so-called example of mini scenario. And by the way, in the slide, I have also some slides explaining to you how you can convert your MCQ, multiple choice questions, into a mini scenario type scenario. You can find that in the PowerPoint, yeah? So what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you one example of a simple scenario-based learning or so-called mini scenario. We will go through the example first, then after that I will show you how I build this using Google Form. So the first tool that I'm going to show or share with you to build the scenario-based learning in the final form. This is the final form that you present to the learner, to the student. Okay. But before that, we have to create the story or the scenario. So yeah, under this section, yeah, let's build a scenario. There are 2 steps to create scenario-based learning. 2 steps. First, we have to develop the storyline, which includes the scenario, the options, the context, the challenge. Then if you want to do a branching scenario or multiple branching scenario, then we can do branching as well. And then of course feedback. So once we have everything, then only we construct the story. Construct the story in the final form to be presented to the students. And these are where we can use so-called authoring tools or the software to build the story in the final form. So example, yeah, how I build the story. The first part, building the story, yeah, develop the storyline. And here I use ChatGPT, develop the storyline, okay, and I have given example of prompt that you can also use, you can try and just modify. In this case, I say, okay, you will create a simple scenario-based learning activity. You means ChatGPT, of course. We give the persona to ChatGPT. The scenario will present a problem or a situation related to what? So this is where you define the topic or the tema of your scenario-based learning. For example, macam in the last webinar, Dr. Ain is here. Nurul Ain from management. So Dr. Ain gave example of governance and ethics. So this is where you put in here, related to governance and ethics, related to whatever in your specific area. Or you can give a topic of the lesson, of the course. You will then provide 4 options. Of course, this one you can change to what are the number of options that you want. To make it simple, maybe 2. Maybe if you want to make it more challenging, 3. Even more challenging, 4. But usually 3, 2 or 3. Yeah. Provide 4 options, 2 options, whatever a learner could take in response to the scenario. Each option, this is the important part, the instruction that we give to ChatGPT. Or if you can use Gemini also, yeah, the free one. Each option will lead to a different outcome. For each outcome, provide explanation of why it is appropriate or not. And this is where the feedback. For inappropriate outcomes, if the learner choose the inappropriate option or outcome, include a hint for a more appropriate options and instruct the learner to try again. You can copy this prompt. You can try this prompt. Yeah, this is my prompt. So when I put this in ChatGPT, this is the output, the response that I get. Scenario, then option 1, then the outcome for option 1, then the hint. So when there's a hint, it means that this option is not the most appropriate choice. So that's why there's a hint, so that the learner can use this hint and try another options. So the learner will go back and try another options. So option 2, there's an outcome for option 2, the consequence for the options, for the choice. And then there's a hint. Again, when there's a hint, meaning that the option is not the most appropriate one. Not to say it's wrong, but not the most suitable, most appropriate in this context of the scenario. Then option 3, then this is an outcome, but there is no hint, meaning that option 3 obviously is the most appropriate one. Then option 4, there's an outcome or the consequence, and there's a hint. So option 4, as we know, not the most appropriate, because we know that option 3 is most appropriate. So this is the output that we get from ChatGPT. And using everything that we get here, this is where we can, this is a storyline, basically, the first part, the storyline, the option, including the options, everything. Okay. This is a story, basically the scenario is a story, and then these are the options where each option here is actually a decision point. These are actually the first decision point in this case. The first decision point with 4 options. So the learner have to make a decision now. The first decision point, we call it. For multiple branching or more complex scenario-based learning, we can have 2 decision point or even 3 decision point. Seldom we have more than 3 lah. So that's making it more challenging and more complicated. So with all this, we can now start to build the scenario using Google Form or some other application. Okay, but I would suggest that if you have ChatGPT Plus, you can ask ChatGPT to visualize all this using a mind map, and this is how it looks like. Let's look at the larger version of this. And this is very helpful and very useful because we can see overall how the scenario is evolving, how the scenario is unfolding with the different options here. So managing team project issues, team member missing deadlines. So that's the issue in the scenario, or the challenge, or I would say. So as a manager in the HR department, what would you do? So there's 4 options here. As I mentioned here, if you want to make it simpler, you can just have 2. If you want to make it more challenging, you can have 3 or even 4. In this case, there are 4 options here. So if the learner, and from what we have seen just now, the most appropriate option is option number 3. So this is the outcome for option number 3, but there is no hint because option number 3 is the most appropriate one in this case. But if the learner choose option number 1, number 2, and number 4 with the corresponding outcome, but there's a hint. So the hint is actually the feedback for the students to take another option. So this is where a lot of learning will happen. If we give the hint as well as, as much information as possible to tell the students why this option is not the most appropriate. So that's where we can give some detail to enable the students to learn why this particular option is not the most appropriate. So can you imagine now, the students, of course, we tell the students, even if they got option 3, the first one already correct or right, it tell them also to go through all the 4 options. We must teach the students how to learn using scenario-based learning. Don't just let them, without explaining. So ask them, if you happen to get the right one, you must also go through option 1, option 2, and the other options, because there is where you will learn more. Each option that you take is the learning opportunity for you to learn more about the concept, to learn about the principles, the topic. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, let me show you how I do this. Yeah. So what I did, after I've created the scenario, I put the prompt, then I get the scenario here. So I copy this scenario, or maybe I just repeat the whole thing again. So this is the prompt. In this case, what's the topic? In my I can just I want to take a shortcut. Just imagine I put this in ChatGPT, and then I get the output. So this is the output. So I just put the output here. Then I say what these are the output here. Sorry, this is the output. So I say, okay, visualize the following scenario with a mind map. That's a prompt. Okay, visualize the following scenario with a mind map. Maybe I'll give you another example. Let me take one. Yeah, create a cybersecurity awareness scenario-based exercise involved. Okay, this is topic cybersecurity awareness. Okay, this is the prompt just now. The prompt. Okay, I start a new. So this is a prompt. You will create a simple scenario-based learning activity. The scenario will present a problem or situation related to. So this is where we put in the theme or the topic. So cyber. I'm so lazy to type. Just copy. Mana dia tadi? Cyber security awareness. It's quite general actually. If you can be more specific, then try to be as specific as you can. Cyber security awareness. You will then provide 4 options. So let's make it simpler. 3 options. 3 options a learner could take in response to the scenario. Each option will lead to a different outcome. For each outcome, provide an explanation. Okay, this is actually a very important part, yeah? Okay, now I just ask ChatGPT to generate the scenario. This is actually a simple scenario, or we call it mini scenario, because there's only one decision point. So this option number 1. This is the scenario, okay? The backstory, we call it the backstory lah, okay? Alice, a project manager in a tech company, received an email from what appears to be the company's IT department. The email states that her password needs to be updated immediately due to a security breach. So if you are teaching cyber security, yeah, this is one example for you. I don't know, Dr. Sodi. Dr. Sodi, you are teaching cybersecurity, yeah? Okay. Anyway, the email looks slightly different from usual, containing a few typographical errors and a sense of urgency. Alice is preparing for an important meeting and feels pressured to act quickly. This scenario, very good scenario to teach cybersecurity to the students, yeah? So what are the options? Kita minta. Just now we asked for 3 options, remember? Click the link and so on. Option number 2, ignore the email. Number 3, verify the authenticity of the email. For each option, because in the prompt just now, we asked for the explanation, we asked for the hint. So we will use all this to build the final scenario that is ready for the learner to use. So now I want to visualize this. Of course, this is quite simple, but if you want to visualize it, how? if we have ChatGPT Plus, the advantage is you can use a so-called GPT, which is a specialized ChatGPT that performs specific function. And this particular GPT is called whimsical, yeah, whimsical, whimsical diagram. And the way I do it, we use this GPT. I can call up any GPT without going to that GPT page or this GPT specifically. I can call up whatever GPT that I want based on the based on the task that I want to do. So in this case, I want ChatGPT to visualize this scenario. So I can type add, yeah, add, and then it will ChatGPT will list down the latest GPT that I have used recently. If you cannot find it there, you can just type the first few letters of the name, but you must know the name of the GPT lah. If you been using this very often, then of course you will remember. Otherwise, if you have used whatever GPT recently, it will be listed down there. So otherwise, you can search. Yeah. So in this case, it's already there because I just use it recently. So I just click this, and then I give the instruction visualize the scenario using a mind map. So this is what I love about ChatGPT, because of there are thousands of GPT that can perform different function, different tasks. Yeah. So within minutes, it will display the whole scenario just now. Imagine if you are doing multiple branching, it gets more and more complicated, more complex. So sometimes you can get confused. So the easier one, how to avoid this confusion, is to visualize it in the form of mind map. And you can use this. And I can view this in full screen, a bigger screen in Whimsical application itself. So I have logged in, so it will connect to Whimsical seamlessly. Then I can see here cybersecurity awareness scenario. First, it will give us the summary of the scenario. And then these are the options, 3 options, 1, 2, 3. And this is the outcome, and this is the appropriate response. Okay. But it doesn't pick up the hint in this case. It doesn't pick up the hint. So we have to go back and see which one. Sometimes it doesn't pick up. Yeah. Just now in the previous one, kita ada kan, they pick up the hint. But anyway, this one is good enough for us to see how the scenario is actually, the structure of the scenario, the different option, and the outcome, and the other information that we ask ChatGPT to produce. Okay, so that's how I do it. And then after we are done on this, then we can start creating the scenario using whatever tools that we have. So let me go through this example, a simple scenario based learning example. And good practice is to give the instruction to the learner. So you can just copy my example here, permission granted. Okay, and this is where explain to the students. Of course, in the class you can explain to them verbally, but give further instruction here. Because we want them to really learn from this activity. So welcome to this interactive learning module on team management. This is the theme of this particular example. Specifically missing. So what exactly the scenario, what exactly students will learn from this. So you have to modify this part lah for your own scenario. In this case, specifically focusing on effectively addressing the issue of team member missing deadline. So this is actually for HR, human resource kind of problem. This scenario is designed not only to challenge your problem solving and leadership skill, but also to provide a comprehensive learning experience through exploration and reflection. As you engage with scenario, please adhere to the following enhanced guidelines. So deeply understand the scenario, carefully evaluate the option, select and learn from each option, absorb the feedback fully. After making a selection, you will receive a detailed feedback explaining why an option is effective or appropriate or not appropriate. Please read this debriefing to understand the reasoning behind each outcome. This feedback is crucial for learning and applying the principles of effective team management. Then engage with additional activities, reflect on your experience. So these are the kind of standard instruction before the students start to go into the scenario. You can copy this and you can modify. Okay. I will go through this example. Then after that, we take a 5 minutes break or 10 minutes break. 5 minutes break probably will do. Then I will show you how to build in Google Form in this case. So as you can see here, I have an image, and this image I created this image using ChatGPT. But of course, we can use also other tools. And of course, this image, if you see, is relevant to the context of the scenario. Okay, now I present the scenario. The scenario just now from is the module. Dah tutup modul. Ini dia modul. No. Yang itu apa? So basically, everything here, and this one, translate into this, the final form. Yeah. So the scenario, you are managing a team project and notice that one of the team members is consistently missing deadline, which is affecting the project progress. What course of action should you pursue? Then there are 4 options. Option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. So the student will of course, they can see this one, but they have not completed the exercise yet, so they should just ignore this part, but they will start with this part. So if we give the scenario is presented to the student, and preferably you want to also add a suitable picture here, image. And then they can look at the option. Option 1, ignore the behavior and hope it improves on its own. So in making the choice here, the students now will try to apply whatever that they have learned in the course or in the previous lectures. This is the application of the knowledge now. So they will analyze the situation. Sometimes we can give data. We can give not only simple scenario, we can give them some information, we can give them some data for them to, this data or this information will help the learner to analyze before they make a decision or choose the option. So let's say we go to option 1. We know in this case, option 3 is the most appropriate one, of course. But let's see if the student choose option 1, ignore the behavior and hope it improves on its own. What will happen? So click next. And then now the student choose option 1, and then this is the outcome. So the student will learn, will read this, and they will learn something from here. The team member's behavior does not improve. When I choose option 1, which is ignore, just ignore the behavior, the manager ignore the behavior, what happened? The consequence is, by ignoring the behavior, the team member's behavior does not improve, causing further delays, missing deadlines, and so on. So that the project team will become, members of the project team, other members of the project team will become upset because there is one member not doing their part, not pulling their weight. Okay, so this option is inappropriate because, so this is an explanation, see, because ignoring issues often leads to escalation rather than resolution. A lot of people just ignore the problem, just wipe it under the carpet. Okay. Then what should I do next? What should the students do? What should the students do next? There's a hint for more appropriate action. Addressing the issue directly with the team member may lead to a better understanding and resolution. Try another option. So back to the scene. Next. Now back to the first screen just now, yeah. So the students just now got the hint. So if now second chance. So based on that hint, which option? So maybe option 4 or option 2, option 3. So maybe the student will go to option 3 now. Have a private and constructive conversation with the team member to understand the reasons behind the missed deadline and offer support. Next. So based on option 3, what's the consequence? Have a private, option 3 just now is have a private and constructive conversation with the team member to understand the reason behind the missed deadline and offer support. So this kind of one-to-one, go straight to the problem, go straight to the person, have a heart-to-heart talk. So by doing that, the outcome is the team member explains they were unclear about the project requirements. Together, you clarify expectations. So the manager now clarify what's the team's expectation, what's the project expectation, and agree on a plan for improvement. This option is appropriate because it addresses the issue directly and supportively, promoting positive change. So can you imagine how much learning happens here? Yeah, how much learning happens here? And that's the image to illustrate that the conversation between the manager, or I don't know which one is the manager here, over a cup of coffee to explain the situation. So I can go next. When I go next here, because these are appropriate option. When I go next, we will go to the debriefing. But I want to learn more. I know there are 2 more options. So I can go back to the scenario. Yeah. And then I can go to option number 2 and option number 4 to learn more. Okay. I know I've got the option 3 already. I know this is the most appropriate one. But what about the option 2? If I confront the team member aggressively, what will happen? So I can go option 2. Next. Okay. So option 2, the team member feels, so these are outcome. If you choose option 2 and there's a hint, then I can go back and I try option 4. So it's the same thing. So the students will have to go through all the 4 options. We encourage them to go through all the options given for them to learn more. So scenario-based learning allows students actually to do deep learning, to go deeper, layer by layer, into the concept, into the topic, to learn more for different options that we provide for them. So option number 4, this is the outcome, and this is the hint for them. If they happen to go to option 1, 2, and 4, then finally they know, oh, okay, all these are not appropriate. The appropriate action is option number 3, option number 3 just now. And then in this case, they have gone through all the 4 options. They can go to next. You will go back here. Okay, I've completed the exercise. Then you may now read the debriefing. There's also debriefing. Apart from giving the feedback for each option just now, and the hint, after they have completed the full scenario, we give them a debriefing. And this is another part where students will learn more. Okay, and we can use ChatGPT to help us designing the debriefing also. So they will learn why option 1 or option 2, option 3, and further reflections. Okay, and we can give them also questions for them to think of. These are they take away the lesson with the questions for them to do further exploration, further thinking on that particular scenario. And can you imagine if you have designed the scenario-based learning to align to a certain learning outcome, how much learning happens here? Okay. And finally, thank you and submit. Done. View score. Okay. In this case, maybe there's no particular score because it's just exercise for the students, part of the formative learning for the students. Okay. So I hope this is clear to you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask the questions. So what we will do next after we take a short break, maybe we take about 10 minutes break. Okay. Then we come back. Then we will build the similar scenario. Okay. Using Google Form. Then I will show you another tool to build the same scenario. Okay. To build the same scenario but using another tool. And then after that, maybe we can see one example of how we can design a more complex scenario, maybe branching scenario with 2 decision point. Yeah, 2 decision point. In this example, there is only 1 decision point with 4 options. But we can have a situation where one of these option can lead to another decision point with 2 or 3 or 4 options. That's where the branching happens. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I forgot to show a few more slides on the branching part. I think when we come to that example, I will show you the branch structure. Yeah, how we can structure the multiple branches. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a break now. So now it's already 4:42. So we come back. Sorry, 10:42. So 10 minutes break. We come back at 10:52. Yeah. So back at 10:52. If you have any questions, maybe when we come back, I can answer some of the questions. Alright? Alright, jom kita minum dulu. All right, welcome back. Nice music, Sarah. Your favorite music? Wani punya favorite music?
Wani yang pilih.
Wani yang pilih. Wah, good taste, good taste. Okay, so are you ready to continue the second part? Still have the energy? Actually, I almost cancel the session this morning. Not feeling good today actually. So tapi after telan Panadol, okay lah, feeling better sikit. So I hope you can bear with me. Maybe my energy level a bit low, tapi I will try my best. The second part is actually now building the simple scenario first. Then we will look at the more branch scenario, more complex scenario. And we're going to use a tool which everyone have access to, which is Google Form. Google Form, yeah. It's not the best tool to create scenario-based learning actually, tetapi the better tool is, of course, if you look under authoring tools for building the scenario. Okay, we are looking now at Google Form. Okay, Google Form. Google Form is not designed to build scenario-based learning. No, it's not meant for that. It's meant for survey or to create simple quiz. Yeah. However, if you don't have other choices, because the better one, of course, in my opinion, is articulate rise. This is very powerful. We can do branching easily, multiple branching, and it's very simple to use. Although it is powerful, it has a lot of features, but very simple, very fast to learn. Unfortunately, it is expensive. It is part of the Articulate Studio 360 suite. Yeah, about probably about 4,000-5,000 ringgit if you want to buy the whole thing. And they don't sell separately. They don't sell Articulate Rise separately. It's part of the Articulate Studio 360. About 5,000 ringgit a year. It's not one off. It's subscription. You have to pay 5,000 ringgit every year. So I think if you want to seriously develop if you want to develop scenario-based learning more for your online course, maybe the university can purchase only a few license and install on a few laptop, maybe at CDAE. And when you want to use it, you come to CDAE and develop. I think that's the only way we can have this Articulate Rise as part of the Articulate Studio. So we can buy one or two licenses for the university and put it at CDAE. Yeah. Articulate Storyline is part of Articulate Studio 360. But between Articulate Storyline and Articulate Rise is for the marhain, meaning that for ordinary people like us, Articulate Storyline can do more complex branching and so on. But they are together in one package, Articulate Storyline 360. You can Google, you can click this and you can see the detail. Yeah. Another one which is also to me very good is Elucidate. And I've given some example of how they looks like, how the scenario-based learning looks like using Articulate Rise. You can check out the example. The other one is iSpring Suite, similar to Articulate Rise and similar to Articulate Storyline, but they are also quite expensive, just slightly cheaper than Articulate Storyline. You can see some good example. I've given some example there. Articulate, the other one is Adobe Captivate, part of Adobe suite, but unfortunately, I think the package that we have in USM, we don't have Adobe Captivate, unfortunately. And generally, it's actually free, and you can see the example that I have created using Genially, a simple interactive story, which the same principle we can use to create scenario-based learning. H5P, this one I mentioned in part 1 of the webinar. This is available to you as a plugin in our eLearn Moodle. Mungkin Dr. ID and others can explore H5P, because H5P, I was told by a friend at IMU, Dr. Hasnain, we can use this to create scenario-based learning. But personally, I have not used H5P and I don't have experience. So maybe Dr. ID or others there can explore. Twine. I'm not going to show you Twine. Twine is actually very powerful to create scenario-based learning. It's free, but it's not as easy because it uses kind of different kind of interface, not really very intuitive. And if you can create text-based scenario-based learning using Twine, but if you want to add pictures and other multimedia element, you need to learn a little bit of the syntax. Yeah? For computer science people like Dr. Sodi and so on, maybe you want to explore further using Twine. Yeah, because people like me, I'm so scared of coding. I don't want to do I don't want to do coding. Yeah, it's not so much of coding. It's basic only lah. An Inker writer, which hopefully I can show you a little bit about how to build scenario using Inker writer before we end our session this morning. Okay, now let's build the scenario just like an example just now. And I have one exercise here. So these are some example of mini scenario. You have a choice here. You have a choice here. You can just take this and put this in the prompt. I want to pick just now the example that I showed using cybersecurity. Yeah? I want to pick this example because in the last webinar, Dr. Ain mentioned about her area, which is governance and ethics. So this is a scenario. You are a mid-level manager at a recycling plant. During a routine inspection, you discover the company is illegally dumping hazardous materials. Your boss pressures you to stay silent, fearing the plant will be shut down and jobs will be lost. If you like, you can use any of the scenario listed here to do the exercise on your own. Learn how to build a scenario. Okay, in this case, I have the scenario already given. So I just need to put this in the prompt and ask ChatGPT to create the rest of the storyline, including the options, the consequence, the feedback, and so on. So I can use this prompt under, let's build a scenario here. Okay, under this section, let's build the scenario. So we have seen this one, the example based on this scenario. If you scroll down, yeah, if you already have a scenario, which is in this case, you can modify the prompt like this. So this is a prompt. Yeah? So let me copy the prompt and go to ChatGPT. I start a new file, paste the prompt. For this scenario, insert the scenario. So the scenario, if you want to try this example, This is the scenario. If you don't have the scenario, but you have the topic or the theme, so you can use another prompt just now. Ask ChatGPT to create a scenario based on this theme, governance, and ethics. And then it will give you some options. Okay. But in this case, I've got the scenario already. So I copy the scenario. And then I say, for this scenario, so I put the scenario in the bracket. And then I put the actual scenario at the end here in the square bracket, so that ChatGPT knows that this scenario refers to the scenario below. So I press shift return, put the scenario just now in the square bracket. So whatever in the square bracket refer to the scenario. This is how to make your prompt more structured and less confusion for ChatGPT. Yeah. So for this scenario, so meaning now ChatGPT will look at whatever in the bracket following the prompt is the scenario. Provide, okay, how many options we want here? Let's say we want to have 3 options in this case. So provide 3 options. Provide 3 options. Eh, alamak, silap. Oh, betul lah. In the prompt, provide 3 options a learner could take in response to the scenario. So this below is the scenario, yeah. Each option will lead to different outcome. For each outcome, provide an explanation of why it is appropriate or not. For appropriate outcomes, include a hint for a more appropriate option and instruct the learner to try again. And then this is the scenario. Now I can click OK. So now ChatGPT is building the scenario. Well, while ChatGPT is building the scenario, let's copy this prompt and we try with Gemini. Yeah, we try with Gemini. Because Gemini is free. So this Gemini. So I put the prompt here. Same prompt, exactly the same prompt for this scenario. So this is a scenario. Provide 3 options, learner. So if you don't want to use ChatGPT, you can use Gemini and other similar type of application similar to ChatGPT and Gemini. Yeah? So I generate this. Sometimes I like to do this because I want to see which one is better. And sometimes Gemini will give you something different. So we can look at both. We can get more ideas by using 2 different applications to generate the scenario. Okay, so these are what Gemini produce. Option 1, follow your boss orders. Option 2, report the issue internally. And based on the prompt just now, we ask for the outcome for each option and the appropriateness. For option 2, same thing, outcome, appropriateness. Option 3, report the issue. Option 2, report the issue internally. Option 3, report the issue externally. Okay, that's what Gemini give us. Let's look at ChatGPT. Scenario, response, and option. Stay silent. Outcome, if you stay silent, what will happen? By staying silent, you are complicit in the illegal activity and so on. Appropriateness, this option is inappropriate. Hint, for more appropriate actions, consider this one. And then the students can go to option number 2, option number 3. In this case, the most appropriate option is number 2, option 2. Yeah, option 2. This option is appropriate. So now if you like, if you are using ChatGPT Plus, you can ask ChatGPT Plus to visualize it using mind map. So I want to call up whimsical diagram here. So I just type add, and then it will appear because I just use it just now. Otherwise, you can type to search here the name of the GPT. You just type a few characters, it will appear. In this case, it's already here. So talking to whimsical diagram. So I said visualize the scenario use with a mind map. You can skip this step if the scenario is quite simple. But I guess it's a good practice just because I'm a very visual person. I like to see it, how it looks like visually. Okay. So now I can look at the full diagram, or I can see very roughly from here. Option 1, stay silent. This is the outcome. This is the the explanation whether it's appropriate or not, and this is a hint. Yeah, can click to see in the full diagram in the whimsical application, and this is free. Yeah, whimsical. Sorry about that. Jawab sekejap lah. Oh, tak apa. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Zari. Saya tengah conduct webinar. Tak mau ya? Nanti saya call kemudian ya. Okay, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so you can see here, visually in the mind map form is clear what are the options and the details. Yeah. Okay. So this is a good practice. If you have ChatGPT Plus, especially when you design a more complex scenario, then it's much easier if you visualize it graphically in the form of mind map or flowchart using Whimsical in ChatGPT Plus. Okay, now let's use this one generated by ChatGPT. Of course, just now we have done also using Gemini. So it's up to us. It's up to you which one that you want to take, which one is a better one. Okay. I'm just showing you that you can create the scenario by using ChatGPT or Gemini. You have the options. Okay. But the advantage of using ChatGPT, especially if you have ChatGPT Plus, you can also visualize using the GPT called Whimsical to help you to visualize the whole thing easier. Okay, now we have option 1, we have option 2, we have the outcome, the hint, everything. So now we are going to build this in Google Form first. So let's go to Google Form. So just go to Google Form or your Google Drive and sign in. Then create a new file and let's call it SBL, scenario based learning. And what's the problem here? What's the scenario here? Governance and ethics. Governance and ethics. And this particular scenario is on what? You are a mid-level manager at a recycling plant. During a routine inspection, you discover the company is illegally dumping hazardous materials. Your boss pressures you to stay silent, fearing the plant will be shut down and jobs will be lost. So you are the mid-level manager. So you take that role. So what you are doing here is actually blowing, you are a whistleblower, right? In this case, you are a whistleblower. So you want to put here whistle, WSPLE, whistleblower, or list, just the nouns, whistleblowing. Yeah. So this related to governance and ethics, right? So give a title, a descriptive title to describe what the scenario is about. And then give the instruction here. Oh, I've closed the, let me open the example just now. I want to copy the instruction. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Zainab commented in the chat that the instruction is very long. Well, the idea here is we want to tell the students that we want them to really, what they need to do when they work on this scenario, what we want them, we want them to learn. But if you want to make it shorter, of course, by all means, yeah, you can make it more concise. You don't have to use everything here. You can make it concise. But for the purpose of this exercise, I just copy everything here. And paste there. But actually, I need to modify a little bit. Welcome to this interactive learning module on this part. Okay, and this part also. So to save time, let's just leave it like that. But this is the part where if you want to use this instruction, then you modify the part which is related to the topic. Okay, I will leave it as is to save time. Okay, now if we follow this example, let me put it side by side so that we can switch between this and this. First, we have to start by presenting the scenario. Okay, so let me put the ChatGPT here. What is the scenario? This is the scenario. Copy the scenario. And we put it here. And in this case, this multiple choice type, yeah, multiple choice. Okay, the default is actually multiple choice. So, and we can actually put a picture if you want to put a picture. So we can put a picture here. We can put a picture here to illustrate the scenario. But I will show you later on how to put in the picture, how to generate the picture using ChatGPT and some other tools. For now, let's just create the text first, and then we insert the picture later. Yeah, that's the easier part. So now we have put in the scenario. So what are the options? The options, option 1, stay silent. So option 1, stay silent. Option 2, report. Option 3, okay, so there's 3 options. So when the learner choose any of the option, they will now be presented, or they will see what's the outcome when they choose this option. And then we, as the scenario designer, we will give them the some explanation about that particular outcome, and then the hint for them to try if that option is not the most appropriate. So how do we put in the now the choice? So this where the conditional logic in Google Form can be used. So here, when we click this, um, then you can say, okay, go to section based on answer. We have to enable this part. Okay, the three dots down here, show description, go to section based on answer, and shuffle order, shuffle option order. You must enable this part. Go to section based on answer. So there are three options. We will create three sections for each option. Okay, we will create three sections for three options. So let's create that one first, and let's enable this one. So let's create another section. How do we create a new section? Here, add section. Okay, add section. Then section number 2 is for option number 1. Option number 1, which is stay silent. Okay, let's create another section for option number 2. Option number 2 is report the issue to environmental authorities. Then finally, section number 3, which is this one, copy, and there. So now we already have each option have its own section, and this is where if the student choose option 1, it will take them to this section. If the student take option number 2, it will take them to this section. If the student take option number 3, it will take them to option number 3 here, section section 3 here. That is where the branching, yeah, or conditional logic lah. We call it conditional logic in Google Form, and this is how we can design the how I mean the students jump to different section for different option, and then they can go back and choose another option and go to another section, and so on. So now let's go back to the first one here. When the student choose option number 1, continue to next section. So which section? Go to section 1. Go to option 1 here. Go to section number 2. Section number 1 is the where we present the scenario and the three options just now. That's section number 1. Section number 2 where option 1 is, and so on. So let's go to section number 2. So in section number 2, we stay silent. So when we go to ChatGPT, we copy the outcome and the appropriateness and the hint. Okay, copy everything, the outcome, appropriateness, hint. Kalau if you have any questions, interject anytime. Yeah, please unmute your microphone. Um, I I don't actually look at the chat because I want to declutter my screen. But if you have any questions, just unmute your microphone. Yeah, interject anytime. So I just copy. Okay, if you stay silent, the learner will read the outcome. When you stay silent, this is the outcome. Is it appropriate or not? There's an explanation for that and some feedback, and then some hint. Okay, what happened if the student take option number 2? Go to section option 2. Then go to section 2. Same thing. Option 2. Tadi I copy mana ya? Oh, silap copy lah tadi. I copied the wrong one. Is it? Yeah. By staying silent. Let me check whether I copy the wrong one. Yeah, I think I copied the wrong one. Okay. Okay, this option 1. Option 2. Kena buat slow-slow takut buat silap. Okay, this one option number 2. Then option number 3. Option number 3. Okay. Option number 3. Alright. Option number 3 tadi kita dah set belum? Belum kan? Option number 3, go, nampak tak? Go to section 2. If you choose option 1, go to this section. Option number 2, go to this section. Option 3, go to this section. Done. Done. Okay. There's another thing. You want to make it required. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's say student choose option number 1. Okay. I think we can just view for now. Okay, that's how it looks like. Option number 1. So let's say I choose students choose action number 1 and go to next. We'll take them to this screen. Option number 1, stay silent. What happens if you stay silent? This is outcome and some explanation, and if appropriate or not, then the hint. When I click next, it will go to option number 2, which is an explanation for option number 2. So this is not right. We want them to go back to the first screen where there are the scenario and the 3 options so that they can try another options. So what we need to do here, after section number 1, after this section number 1, continue to where? This is okay. I think they can we can set this one continue to I think you can put here continue to next section is fine. But for section number 2, when they go to option number 1, when they click next, we don't want the student go or see the result of option number 2. So what we want them to do is down here after section 2, when they click next, where will they go? They will go to section 1, which is the first screen. And the same thing here, option number 2, when they click next or they click back, they will go to section 1. And the same thing here, but this is the last option. So the last options, when they click next, they will go back to the first section, which is this one. So let's try again. Okay, option number 1, click next. Then they can see now the outcome and so on. But now when they click next, it will not go to option number 2, but it will go back to the first screen. And now they can try with option number 2. Next, same thing. Then when they click next, it will go to option, it will go back to the first screen. They can go now to option number 3, next. And then they have this submit. Okay, again the same thing. When they click submit, actually when they click submit, no, when they are at option number 3, we should actually take them to the debriefing. Yeah. So when they click submit, it will take them to first screen, or we will get this one. Yeah. So what we want them to do now, after they go to option 3, we want them to go to another screen, which is debriefing. So we want to add another section, and this is called debriefing. Debriefing. Okay. So again, if you're lazy, ask ChatGPT. Okay, give a debriefing after the student completed the scenario. Lazy. Okay. Don't be lazy, eh? Don't be lazy. I'm not teaching you to be lazy. I'm just showing you what you can do with ChatGPT. Don't blame me. Don't blame me. Okay. So debriefing, takut kena blame. Okay. I'm just showing you how you can use ChatGPT. Okay. Mana tadi debriefing section 5? Ini section debriefing. After section 4. Alamak, tak apa. Patutnya yang ni yang last ya. Okay, tak apa. Kita boleh susun balik. This one option 3. Patut the debriefing come after option 3. How do I move this? How do I move? How do I move this? Macam mana nak move section? Anyone can help me? Macam mana nak move this section down, ya? After anyone can help me move section, yeah. Move section. Ni pun tak ada orang nak tolong. Okay. Okay. See? Alright. Save. Macam. Okay tak? Okay, kita try lagi. So, yang tadi tu, the section 3, after section 4, sorry, after option 3, after this, dia pergi mana? Dia pergi go to section 5, debriefing. Lepas habis debriefing tu, barulah dia boleh submit lah, final one. Okay, so let's try again. Let's try again. Actually, the actual time to build this one using Google Form, after you have after you are familiar, kan, will be quite fast lah. But this one, of course, I'm showing this slowly. Okay, option 3. Let's say option 3. Next. Okay, now next, you will go to the debriefing. Okay, then only we submit. Okay, ada soalan tak? Soalan dulu, soalan sebelum kita habis pukul apa?
12.30, Prof.
12.30 ya?
Ya.
Kita start pukul apa? 9.30. Oh ya. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Alright. Thank you. Ada soalan? Dalam chat ada soalan tak ya? Nanti saya check dalam chat. Kat YouTube ada soalan tak apa ni Wani? Kalau boleh tolong tengokkan Wani atau Sarah.
Saya dah
Okay.
kat chat box.
Oh, alright, okay. From YouTube. Berapa ramai kat YouTube Wani? Tak tahu ya? Yeah, okay. Out of mini scenarios and branching scenarios, which one are preferred? Well, it depends. It depends on, I think in most cases, for all intent and purposes, as you can see the example here, mini scenario or simple scenario to me is can do a lot, can do a lot to teach students or to get students to apply, to analyze whatever concept, whatever principles, the facts that they have learned, the concept into this mini scenario or simple scenario. You don't really have to do multiple scenario or branching scenario. It is more difficult, more tedious, more time consuming to build. But of course, with ChatGPT is faster, easier. And but to build using Google Form, and unless if you have the commercial authoring tool, yeah, like Articulate Rise, it's quite time consuming to build, but possible, yeah. We can still use another tool which I'm going to show you to build a similar scenario using another tool, but Google Form has its limit. Google Form for a mini scenario or simple scenario, I think, as you can see, as you have seen just now, can be done. Can be done. Yeah. Okay, multiple branch scenario boleh guna Google Form. Saya rasa susah. Kalau multiple branching scenario, using Google Form, it's let's see, because here when we option 1, let's say for branching, you can have one or two the option will lead to another decision point and options, one or two, or even all the three of the option. That will make it even more complicated. Yeah. Or each option will lead to another decision point, or one of the option will lead to another decision point with two or three more options. That's a branching. Yeah. So let's say this one, when the students choose option 1, and it will go here, how do we build the branch? How do we build this? Um, let's say, no, we cannot insert. Boleh, I rasa boleh. I rasa boleh. I haven't tried actually multiple branching with Google Form. What we can do here, we can create another similar to this. For this is decision point number 1. Let's label this decision 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 point 1. I haven't tried. Good questions. I haven't tried this because I just want to focus more on simple branching with Google Form. Yeah. So this decision point 1. Okay. Then let's add another. Bagus juga orang tanya soalan ni. Then I can try. Another one here. And tapi dia punya section dah bertukar number lah ya. Kita kena ubah balik ni. Sebab yang ni dah jadi section 2, yang option 1 dah jadi section 3. Tadi option option 1, sorry, dia dah jadi section 2. Oh, dia masih dalam section 1. Oh, no. Cannot. Tak boleh. Because right. No. I must add a new section, I think. I must add a new section. please bear with me. I'm trying to figure out whether we can add another decision point with Google Form. This is a good challenge. Maybe I need to add a new section. And in this new section, I add another decision point. Let's say I just copy this one for the purpose of exercise. And this section number 2. This one actually become decision point number 2. Okay. When let's say option 1 will have a branch, it will lead to a second decision, making a second decision. Okay. So when the student click option 1, it will take them to this, and then we can say now this one becomes section 2, and option 1 becomes section 3. Just now option 1 becomes section 2, so we have to change here. In this case, we have to change, go to section they change automatically. Oh, okay, they update automatically when we add new section just now. Why I add new section? Because I want to have a second decision point for branching, tapi they update automatically. I hope you are not confused. I don't confuse you. Mana dia? Dia update. This one becomes section 3. Just now section 2, 2, 3, 4. Now the update become 3, 4, 5. Now in section 2, we can repeat the same thing. We can add all this option 1, option 2, but of course with different option. And this is also a different kind of scenario. After the learner tick option number 1, then we can add the question, another question here, option 1, option 2, option 3. I guess boleh lah. Okay. So this one what they need to do lah. The action that. Okay. So macam mana? Siapa yang tanya tadi? Multiple branch. Amiro multiple branch scenario boleh guna Google Form ke Prof? Yeah, I think can. And this is how. So you can have so kita add section. Yeah, add section, and let's say option 1 will lead to option 1 tadi. Bila dia dah ni, dia akan lead to section decision point number 2. Kita tukar kat sini. Instead of dia balik the first screen, dia pergi kepada decision point number 2. Begitu. So let's try. Let's try. I pun belum cuba lagi pakai Google Form untuk more complex scenario. So it's good thing that you ask. It's a challenge for me to try. So let's go option 1. Next. Okay. Now, when we click next, just now, previously, it will go back to the first screen. But now when we go next, it will go to decision point number 2. Ting! Decision point number 2. And then we can repeat the same thing. In this case, maybe we stop here, meaning after they take option number 1, option number 2, this can go back to the original screen, or they can go back to option 1. But probably most likely we'll go back to the first screen, to section number 1, which is decision point number 1. Or maybe we'll go back to decision point number 2, so that they can go through other option. Once they finish all the option in decision point number 1, they can go back to decision point 1, which is section number 1. I hope you're not confused, but now you can see the complexity of creating scenario-based learning using Google Form. But for simple or mini scenario, as I've shown you just now, it is possible. Okay, it is possible to use Google Form. If you have more than one decision point, it seems like it's possible. You have to try out. Give it a try. At least you have seen just now how these things are done by using the conditional logic in Google Form. Okay tak? Okay. Okay, now kalau kita now I've shown you how to build the scenario from the ChatGPT tadi. And the rest is actually if you want to add pictures. Let's say for this scenario, this is scenario and you want to add pictures. So all you need to do, you just copy the scenario and go to ChatGPT. Let me go to another ChatGPT screen on my Safari browser. Okay. And just then you can, that's the scenario. Then you just tell ChatGPT, illustrate this scenario. Oh, scenario. Aspect ratio 16:9. And this is the scenario. I'll show you just one image using ChatGPT to give you some idea of how you can create the image. But again, this is ChatGPT Plus. You can only do this if you have subscription ChatGPT Plus. I think very nice. Yeah, very nice. So I download this picture. Actually, ChatGPT DALI, actually ChatGPT uses DALI. DALI is actually quite smart to interpret the story or the prompt, and they actually better than Midjourney in terms of interpreting the scenario, what we want. But of course, the quality of image in Midjourney is way better. But to me, for all intent and purposes, it is good enough. Okay, and then all I need to do now, insert image. I can simply find the image and drag and drop. So simple. Easy peasy. Error occurred. Oh, sebab dia punya maybe dia punya format WBP dia tak boleh read. Tak apa, no problem. Oop, 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 LHDN. Alah, lupa tutup. Tak nampak tak nampak. Buat tak nampak je. Okay. Alright. Okay, I just screenshot the picture. Okay. Alright. Mana tadi? Then stop. Buat tak nampak kan? Drag. Okay. Nice kan? Nice tak nice? Tepuk tangan lah sikit. Apalah you all ni. Bagilah motivation sikit. Okay. Macam. Thank you for the tepuk tangan. Bagi saya energy sikit ni. Macam tu lah kita nak bagi apa ni motivation kat speaker. Okay. So begitulah ya. Kita boleh buat macam tu. Tapi kalau kita tak ada ChatGPT Plus macam mana? Berapa orang aja yang ada ChatGPT Plus? Okey, tak apa. Ada banyak option yang lain ya. Salah satu yang saya suka ya. Yang ini percuma percuma. Ideogram. So sign up for ideogram. Contoh macam dalam modul kita tadi, gambar dalam modul ni, kat atas sekali tu, yang ni saya pakai ideogram Saya pakai ideogram ni. So, let's go to ideogram. Kita paste prompt yang sama tadi. Oh, mana dia? Dia paste prompt yang sama. Illustrate. Kita ambil prompt je dia. Kita ambil promptnya saja. Go to ideogram. Paste. Kemudian pilih, di sini kan ada banyak dia punya aspect ratio Tak payah type. Pilih je aspect ratio kat yang mana kita nak. Saya pilih 69. Dan kita nak pilih buat apa? Photo, illustration, 3D render, macam-macam boleh. Macam-macam ada option kat sini Tapi kalau tak nak pilih pun tak apa. Kemudian klik generate. Tengok apa ideogram bagi kat kita gambar macam mana. Banding dengan ChatGPT tadi. Actually ideogram dah banyak improve lah. Version 1.0. Yang sebelum ni the beta version not so okay lah juga, tapi not so nampak tu macam okay juga kan kita tengok yang kedua. Okay, not bad. 3, keempat, actually bagus semua kan. Kalau kita nak ulang balik kita klik remix yang ni, kemudian kita kata kita nak foto punya style. So kita klik foto, kemudian kita boleh regenerate balik. Satu hari kita boleh buat 25. Kita boleh tengok dekat sini kita punya kota kita kat mana dia? Kat sini. Kota sini. 22 out of 25. Banyak lagi. Ada 22 saya boleh buat. Okay. Yang ini baru. Set yang baru. Cuma teks tu kita boleh padam teks tu dalam Canva. Jangan bimbang teks ni kalau kita nak kita boleh padam dalam Canva. Gunakan Canva Magic punya feature So if you don't have ChatGPT Plus, then you can use ideogram. But if you have ChatGPT Plus and ideogram, just like me, so I have options. I tengok apa ChatGPT Plus bagi. ChatGPT Plus pada bagi okay lah. Otherwise, I can go to ideogram and I can see what ideogram can give me in terms of the image. So we have more options. So I hope at this point you've got the idea already how to create this simple mini scenario or simple scenario using Google Form. Alright, so I think I have time just to show you another tool. Basically, I want to show you how to use Google Form and the other tool which is saya tutup dulu semua ni. The other tool is close authoring tool So Google Form, I've shown you how to use Google Form to build the scenario. So when I say building the scenario, that's the second step. The first step, we use ChatGPT to create the scenario, the story, the options, the feedback, the consequence. That's the first step. The second step is to build the scenario into the final form, which just now I have shown you how to use Google Form. Of course, I'm not going to show you how to use Articulate Rise because I don't have one. Last time, yes, I have tried Articulate Rise. I love it so much, but then cannot afford lah. Especially now, pensioner, I cannot pay 5,000 ringgit a year lah. Too much for me, pensioner. Articulate Storyline, Elucidate, I Spring Suite, Genially. let me show you generally. You can try. I'm not going to show you how to build the scenario, the simple mini scenario dalam generally. Maybe also the branch scenario. Generally, it's actually very powerful, but I have not explored much. But in USM, we have Puan Nazira from campus kesihatan. She's very good with generally, and she has done a few webinar. You can find the rakaman, the recording on CDAE website. But let me show you one example of interactive story. The concept of interactive story is similar to scenario-based learning, but this one is we can say that it's a mini scenario lah, yeah, simple scenario. So let me on the music. Whether I don't know, I'm not sure whether you can hear it. So COVID-19. Anda akan belajar beberapa fakta umum mengenai COVID-19 bersama Mimi. Siapa Mimi? Ini ya interactive story ya. Mula. Okay. Oh, musim sejuk menjelang tiba. Mimi, kisah tupai yang comel. Teruskan. Anda telah bersedia? Baca arahan sebelum bermula. Pengenalan, misi, ganjaran. So, pengenalan. Okay. Teruskan. Misi. So, this is a mission. Teruskan. Okay. Misi, Mimi amat gembira bersama misi kerana misi 1 telah selesai. Oh, ini I kena go back to screen dulu. Mula sekali. Teruskan. Isi ganjaran. Oh, sorry. Misi lah. This is a mission. Okay, what's the mission? So there are two mission. Yeah, mission 1, mission 2. So I go to mission number 1 first. So pandemic COVID-19 masih lagi berluasa. Okay, bagi mengelakkan jangkitan ini. Okay, teruskan. So now the novel coronavirus is same as COVID-19, wrong or correct? So let's say wrong. That's a feedback. Well done. Teruskan. Number 2, a person who has no symptom of COVID-19 is not a risk to others. Let's say correct. Oh, no, it's not correct. Think again. So this is a feedback. Okay. So I think that's enough for you to demonstrate to you how this generally can be used. What I've shown you just a simple interactive story for children especially, but don't be deceived by the simplicity of Genially. It's actually very powerful. You can create just instead of using Google Form, you can try to create a simple scenario using Genially. First, of course, you have to learn, but it's very easy. It's very intuitive. You can figure out which is what, which is which, what is doing this, and so on. Yeah, you can figure out. Otherwise, you can watch the tutorial how to create interactive presentation using Genially, and it will show you what are the features, what are the tools that you can use, and use the same concept, the same tool to create scenario based learning. Okay. Twine, of course, feel free to explore on your own, but Twine is actually, let me show you. If you click this checkout example, it will take you to this website. There are many examples here. Twine actually create mainly text-based, but you can also add image and so on. But it's not really, I mean, the presentation-wise, the visual and so on, to me, I prefer using other tools. Yeah. So when you click this, it's actually not bad. Tapi to produce this kind of presentation, you have to use the advanced features, which to me need the learning curve is there. Yeah, the learning curve is there. It's raining today. I think I will. Then what else? There's a next action. Either I click this one, it will take me to another screen. Okay. Actually, this is quite interesting. Yeah. If you are familiar with adventure story, yeah, choose your own adventure kind of game. This actually can be used for that. So feel free to explore. This actually really, to me, actually is a powerful tool to create multiple branches. Very powerful. But then there is some learning curve. If you are really into this scenario-based learning, probably you want to try. I have not explored in detail also, but I've watched a lot of video tutorial on using Twine. It is very powerful tool to create multiple branching kind of scenario. Okay, right. So now we have around about 30 minutes. What I want to do now, I want to recreate the scenario that we have created just now. This one here. Sorry, this same scenario that we have created using ChatGPT and we have created using Google Form. I want to recreate using Inker Writer. Okay, Inker Writer. Inker Writer is free. And in terms of the presentation and display of the output of the scenario, it is quite nice. So let me show you the example, one example that I have created. I've shown this also in the first webinar, I think the example very quickly, but let me show again so that you can see now how the output looks like using Inker Writer. Actually, Inker Writer again is the application that people use not so much of for scenario-based learning. It's actually for interactive story. Maybe before that, I show you one example of from my colleague, from my friend. How she used Inker Writer to example to share to create it's a very short story, and at least her daughter actually she teach her daughter how to use Inker Writer to create a interactive story scenario. Dia mana ya? This one. Di malu bertanya sesat jalan. Okay. Simple story. Ya. Malu bertanya sesat jalan by Christina. 11 tahun. Comel and Montel sedang berjalan-jalan di taman sambil berbual. Ini tak ada gambar ya. Comel berasa lapar. Mereka bercadang hendak ke kedai makan yang berhampiran. So now, to continue the story, the reader has to choose 1, 2, 3, 4 options. Each of these options will lead to a different path in the story. So, if I choose this one, Montel, jom kita makan, saya lapar lah, ajak Comel. So, the next dialogue is, jom. That's the next dialogue. So, the story keep unfolding. Okay. Then, some more lagi, dari sini, continue. Another, in this case, two more option. Lalu Comel ini baru Montel mari kita. So, now, whether if I choose this one, probably it will go to another next level in the story, or probably it will end there. It depends. I don't know which one. Let's say this one. Jom kita tanya Pak Cik tu. So, jom kita tanya Pak Cik tu. Then there's another Instead of that, oh, okay, this actually N. Okay, so if I go back, I can choose just now, but which one? This one kan? So I choose this one, the second one now. So the story straight to story. So this how you get some idea of how we use ink writer actually to write this actually very simple, very simple interactive story. Um, but let's see my example, which is more elaborate. Why does the customer service matter? Okay, I actually the scenario, the example I took from I adapted from Articulate. I just recreate the scenario using Inkle Writer. Okay, first we give the background, the context of the scenario. Then the reader has now to apa dia double. Okay. So now so far you have learned. Okay, so far you have learned four. Uh, we assume the students or the learners have learned from previous course or from previous lectures four essential customer service skill. Imagine now, I mean, they have learned this. This is their prior knowledge lah. They have gone through a few lectures where they learned about four essential customer service skill. So now we want to test their understanding, how they apply the four essential customer service skill using this scenario. Okay, so yes, let's go. I'm so excited. There are two options here. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. If I click I'm not ready yet, then okay, that's fine. Come back and try this scenario when you are ready. See you later. Otherwise, I can go back and this time I'm ready. Yeah, let's go. Okay, that's great. Now, so the choice, the option that the learner that I've taken just now is yes, let's go. I'm so excited. That's great. Now, for each of the following scenario, use four essential customer service skill to help the customer. Okay, continue. Then present the first scenario. Yeah, there are a few scenario here. Let's meet Nora. Okay. So now what's the option? Three option presented to me now. So I can, based on my knowledge of the four skill for to deal with the customer, which one would be most appropriate? Let's say I take this one. This one is, I'm sorry, I'm not good. I can't grant you a refund and so on. Then the customer respond, never mind. This is your response. This is customer response. Is it appropriate or not? Is it the best response that you can give? So when you click continue, then you get feedback. Oh, you missed the mark, meaning that the choice just now is not appropriate. And there's a feedback. Continue. Now I continue to the second scenario, then more options, and so on and so forth. Okay, you see, and then you can add image to illustrate what the scenario is about. So it looks nicer. It looks more kind of yeah. The final product of the scenario looks more interesting. Yeah, compared to Google Form just now. Google Form is just Google Form. It looks like Google Form. Okay, but how do we build this? Okay, this is the part which I'm going to show you in the next 10 minutes or so before we wrap up this session. So go to Inker Writer, sign up for Inker Writer. And you can sign up and then sign in. So when you sign in, this is how it looks like. You can see sign out because I have signed in. New, open, if you have created any scenario before, so you can open those scenario. Import tutorial, you can see the tutorial is also in the form of interactive tutorial, yeah. So you can go through the tutorial, and when you want when you are in the edit mode, or edit mode is right, yeah. So this is where you can add the scenario, add the options. Read is to view how the scenario looks like as you are building the scenario. You can go to read. Read means basically to view, as how the students will view the scenario. Okay, now let's start a new one. Start a new story. So it's very simple. It's very simple, the interface. Put the title of your scenario. So we go back. Um, the title of the scenario is we are looking into this one, yeah. Governance and ethics. I want to rearrange this. Okay, so just type and your name. And section 1, once upon a time. Basically, this you can start by giving instruction, or you can put in your scenario here. Okay, so let me copy the scenario. Let's make it simple. Right, so you are a mid-level manager at a recycling plant. During a routine inspection, you discover the company is illegally dumping hazardous materials. Your boss pressures you to stay silent, fearing the plant will be shut down and job will be lost. So just now, this is about a blower, yeah, whistleblowing, whistleblower lah. We can use whistleblower, meaning that the person become the manager. The manager now become the whistleblower. So this is about ethics and integrity lah, yeah. Ethics and integrity in the bigger topic of governance and ethics. And this is where you add the options. So let's go back to the ChatGPT just now. The scenario, response, and options. Okay, the same thing that we used to build the scenario in Google Form. So option number 1 is what? Stay silent. Yeah. So we add option stay silent. Option number 2, report to the authorities. Option number 3, discuss. Okay, now we have 3 options. And when the students choose stay silent, what will happen? Same thing again. Stay silent, the outcome, appropriateness, the hint. So outcome, the appropriateness, and hint. I press enter, or written hint for more appropriate. Right. So there are other features in this application, but there are, if you want to make it like conditional if, yeah, you can play around. I have not also explored everything here. But if you want to insert image, for example, insert image, how do you do it? So you can click insert image on the left hand side here, and you choose image. But the thing is, you cannot simply drag and drop. You have to put your image somewhere, um, so that you can get the link. You must get the link to the image, and that link must end with .png or .jpg. Okay. Let me show you an example. For example, if I go to pixabay.com, if I take any image from here, any image is to show you, for example, and then if I click this link, yeah, if I click this link, that link up here, if you go to Inker Writer and you click, let's see whether the link is end with JPEG. No, the link does not end with JPEG, JPG, or PNG. So you cannot use this. You cannot click use because you must have JPG, .jpg or .png at the end. Otherwise, this would not be active. Yeah. So how do we do that? If you right click and then copy image address, go back to here. Is it the same link or not? No, right? So the way to do it, uh, you down you can actually sign up to Pixabay, and you can upload a picture to your profile. Just like me, I have my profile, so I upload the picture. If I create my own picture using ChatGPT or using ideogram just now, so I upload to Pixabay, then I can copy the link just now, just the same way. Right click, then copy image address. If you are using Chrome, if you are using Firefox or Microsoft Edge, maybe it says something different, but basically you want to copy image address. Then only you get the link with .jpg at the end or PNG. This is what you want, yeah? .jpg or .png. Then you click use, then the picture will be inserted there. That's how you insert image. Okay, now you have the first option. You go back, stay silent, and this time you can see the arrow. This two is still dot, meaning that it doesn't have the response yet. But this one already uh, when this one is different. This arrow with the fill circle, meaning that when you click, it will goes to this response. Okay, now you can do the same for number 2. Option number 2, copy, paste. Oops, tak copy lagi. Copy, paste, then appropriateness, hint. Where is the hint? Explanation. Oh, because this is the right option. So This is the right option, so there is no hint. It's just explanation. Okay, explanation, appropriateness, then outcome. Right, so now go back. So now 1 and 2 is already done, already populated. Then the third one now. This one got hint because it's not the appropriate response. So we just make it neater, more neat. So just format. And of course, you can insert image here, yeah? You can insert image to illustrate the outcome, just like how I did this in Google Form. So that will make it nicer. Looks nicer, right? But this one, we just make it simple. So now, when I have done these 3 options, when I click read, so now we are on the right. This one read. And this is how the students will see. Governance and Ethics Whistleblower by Abdul Karim Alias. You are a mid-level manager. Then if I stay silent, okay, so this line will show what's the option that I take and will show me the outcome and the end. Because it's only one level, so I can go back, and because I've been told by the lecturer that although you got the option right, you must go through each option so that you can learn why this option is appropriate, why this option is not appropriate. That's it. That's how you create a simple branch, a simple scenario. But if you want to to create the multiple branch, then you will have probably I am not able to show you, and I have not yet also tried multiple, but it can be done, yeah. Just like the example that I've shown you, requires more time to figure out, but this is where you can use all this if condition, just like we use the conditional logic in Google Form. Yeah. So here you can see, you can also see the map. You click the map just now. Yeah, you click map. So it will give you how it looks like, just like we use mind map in ChatGPT. It will show you for section 1, which is we can consider this as a decision point number 1. So if you have decision point number 2, maybe this outcome probably will branch out to another apa ni, another decision point. So section 1 here is actually decision point number 1 if for a simple scenario. But for a branch scenario, you might want to label this one level 1. Level 1 means decision point number 1. Then after that, you can add another section which become decision point number 2, just like what we did in Google Form just now. Try it out, play around with it, figure out. All this require some trial and error. But to summarize, we have, if you want to build scenario for using free tools, the option that we have now is Google Form, maybe Genially, H5P, Twine, and Inkle Writer. And in this session, I've demonstrated to you Inkle Writer and Google Form. So I hope this is enough for you. as a starting point to explore further. And you can find more resources here. Resources. If you want to learn more in about scenario-based learning, check out Christy Tucker website. This lady, she specialized in scenario-based learning. So much material you can find here. If you really want to go to the advanced level of scenario-based learning, which I have not done yet, tak sempat ya, tak sempat nak really explore when I was in USM, teaching in USM, tak sempat nak explore in more detail because at that time, there was no ChatGPT. And to build even a simple scenario will require a lot of thinking. So that's why I didn't really use scenario-based learning. But now with AI, become much easier now to create a scenario, and then we can and with Google Form, the ability of Google Form to do conditional logic, yeah, and of course another one, the Inco writer. But don't forget Twine. Twine is actually designed for scenario-based learning with multiple branching, with complex branching. If we see, if you type Twine dalam Christy Tucker punya website ni, she has some example of how she use Twine to make branching scenario. Twine makes branching scenario easier. A simple branching like this to a more complex. So she actually shows step by step how to create scenario using Twine. But this actually only text based. She did it. You can also insert image and so on, which require more step. But otherwise, the result would be like this. Text based, yeah, text based. Let's see. Use Twine as your. You can use Twine also. Let's see the actual output from the example. I'm not sure, but it looks something like this lah. Yeah, text based, something like this. Okay, so there's an option there. So if you don't insert image, so it's quite boring lah. But having said that, if you have iPad, you can download one game. You can find in the PowerPoint, yeah. In the PowerPoint, banyak lagi ni. Walaupun part 2 ni ada juga benda yang tak boleh cover or explain in more detail, but I think that's enough lah. Let me show you where is the slide. Ini, this one, yeah. Let's play this text-based game. So Twine actually mainly produce this kind of this game. If you have iPad, you can. I have this game on my iPad. Actually, it's very interesting game, yeah. Tapi text-based. Now the name of the game is Lifeline. It's a mobile game that was built as a text choose your own adventure novel. It's an inspiring example of how you can create an immersive experience just with dialogue, just with text, and apply it to learning. So this is how it looks like on my iPad. Yeah. Then this is actually basically a story. So the story is unfolding. The story of a person suddenly wake up from his long sleep and suddenly found himself somewhere in the space. Okay. She didn't remember what happened. So he just wandering around, and then the scenario unfold from there lah. Then at each point they can take a decision. Oh, she's actually communicating with someone from Houston on Earth. So there's, are you all right? Or where are you? So depending on which one you choose, it will take to another path in the story. Okay, so and Twine can actually create a text-based story like this. But of course, you can add picture, but you have to do something else lah. You have to learn how to do it lah. It can actually, you can make the Twine-based scenario-based learning interesting, but it's not as straightforward or as easy as using Inker Writer or even Google Form. All right, so I think that's about all. Feel free to explore the resources that I've selected for you here. If you are serious into trying scenario-based learning. All right, so I'll stop at this point. It's already 12, almost there, almost 12:30. Thank you for staying on until now. I don't know, I hope the session this morning, the second part of scenario-based learning, have given you clearer idea, especially for those who have attended the first part. But if you ask me, frankly, I think lecturers, teachers in school must learn scenario-based learning. You can create interactive story to teach science, to teach. Imagine you want to teach as simple as the concept of photosynthesis for school teachers. Any concept. So you can create a scenario. You can create an interactive story where the story will take the students from one point to another point, and then at each point they have to make a decision. In order to make a decision, the student have to apply the knowledge. They have to look at the information given, the context, the data, the graph, whatever given to them in order to help them making a decision. If you, I'm sure by now, if you have understood the concept of scenario-based learning, I'm sure you can find application in your own context, in your own course. Macam mana Dr. Aidi? What do you think? Dr. Syamsul, what do you think? Prof? Any thoughts? Dr. Kamarul? Macam mana Dr. Kamarul? Ada apa-apa opinion? Siapa lagi ada kat sini? Azmi.
Dah banyak daripada Prof. Masih banyak lagi ni yang nak kena learn. Nanti kita talk later, Prof.
Okay. You fizik kan?
Biology.
Oh, biology.
Yeah.
I thought you fizik. Oh, biology banyak senario you boleh buat. Gunakan scenario based learning. Ya. Imagine banyak lah yang you boleh buat. Yang lain-lain ada some feedback before we wrap up the session. Amiro ni siapa ya? Amiro, anything? Dr. Sodi, what do you think?
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Yeah.
Amirul.
Amiro, yeah.
Oh, very good. I joined the first session previously, so I think this is a very useful session, Prof. Hopefully we can organize, I suggest to do offline also because we can, practically learn live from you. Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Would be nice lah kalau ada face to face kan. Tapi yang ini pun okay, ada 2 recording ni. So katakan kalau ini boleh tengok balik part yang mana tu kan. Then tapi itulah, try out, maybe find time as soon as possible to try out building a simple scenario dulu using either Google Form or apa tadi tu, Inker Writer. And don't forget to explore also Twine. So imagine kan, now students can do on their phone. you set up, instead of you presenting your material using PowerPoint, why not you present your material content using scenario-based learning? Rather than the student read the notes, why not just they work on a series of small mini scenarios. In fact, if you think about it, the whole content, let's say you have 2 or 3 learning outcome, of course, you don't want to design the whole thing using scenario-based learning, but at least a portion of it can be used scenario-based learning. Dr. Aidi, you want to share something, Dr. Aidi? Nice to see you, Dr. Aidi.
Oh, thank you, bro. Dan nama dipanggil tadi kena muncul lah.
Kena muncul lah, ya. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Memang banyak lah. Learn a lot. But I totally agree with you that the AI, the generative AI, the generative AI is very helpful lah.
Yeah, untuk
Yeah, all the AI
create
tools
scenario.
just now, yeah. Betul. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, I forgot to mention. Thank you, Dr. Aidi. I forgot to mention. Tapi it's there in the module. Some of the GPT that you can use. You don't have to use a GPT. If you have only ChatGPT 3.5, the free one, you can use a prompt that I have given in the module, and of course you can modify the prompt. There's a basic prompt. You can make it even. You can improve upon it, and add whatever things that you want from the prompt to create a scenario. It's a good start lah. Yeah, practice, try out, and probably you will see the value. Any more input? If not, yeah, silakan.
Cuma nak beritahu lah, I think whatever you mentioned before and current punya webinar, it's very good because all of these are tools for us to really buat engagement with the students. I think one major problem of the lecturers is basically the time required for us to develop this kind of learning punya activities lah. Cuma if macam tadi one of the doctor was saying, if ada physical session kan, so at least you can just design one small scenario for every single topic yang we have vast of topics kan. If you can just test one simple scenario and we can share to everyone kan, whether or not it's useful ataupun engaging or not, I think that would be very 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 nice.
Yeah, kalau kita nak buat kalau kita nak buat face to face tu, mungkin what we can do, they want really hands on lah. Maknanya all the participants kena develop satu simple scenario, satu lagi branch scenario, sama ada using Google Form atau using Inker Writer, complete dengan image dan sebagainya. So kita buat one day. The first half of the day is for everyone to work on their scenario, and I'll be there to assist everyone. Kemudian petang kita start to share the scenario. I think that will be very very good lah.
Yeah.
Tapi maybe kalau kita nak buat tu, I kena try dulu how to develop the branch scenario, good example of branch scenario using Google Form, using Genially, using Inker Writer, so that I can show you a real example and I can show you also step by step how to create. Just now kita dah nampak tadi macam Google Form kan, macam nak create branch scenario. Tapi I have to try also to make it really betul-betul jadi. And after I have successfully create a branch scenario, at least with 2 decision point with Google Form, I will share the link to that in the module. So, but I cannot promise. Probably if I have time during the weekend, I will do it. But come back to the module, maybe sometime next week, and see. I will post on the Facebook in World of Academia, just to notify those who are following the Facebook group World of Academia that I have updated the module with example of branch scenario using Google Form. Maybe I'll try with Google Form first, then I will try also with Inker Writer.
Betul lah Prof. I think kita duk sabuk senang student, kita learning by doing kan. Most of us pun belajar, but it's not cakap belajar, not doing it. Macam Prof the difference between you and us is basically you are doing it yourself and practicing it. For us, we just learn it. Tetapi jarang kita pakai apa yang kita belajar.
Kena
So
lah.
I think it's about time for us to
Yes.
do it lah on our own.
But now I have less incentive and motivation dah nak explore deeper. You know, sebab I wish lah I masih mengajar so that I can practice, I can use this scenario based learning. Dulu I nak buat, I tahu tentang scenario based learning, tapi I nak buat masa tu tak ada chat GPT nak tolong buat senario. Pening nak buat senario yang simple pun kena banyak fikir, kan. So kita ni dah semakin tua, nak makin malas nak fikir sangat, nak perah otak orang kata.
Tapi ChatGPT helps a lot lah. Cuma
Help a lot.
if I can add on lah, if you can lah, I think you have experience as the knowledge as well. If this kind of activities, webinar ni kan, if you can turn it into a workbook for your physical punya session, I think we can just follow the workbook. Then we can just start from there. So that all other practitioners can like us ni boleh
Yeah.
follow step by step easier.
Good idea. The workbook is a good idea also. InsyaAllah apa ni saya akan cuba. Satu lagi, kalau kita buat workshop yang face to face tu, macam sekarang ni saya buat dalam most of my face to face workshop, setiap orang akan bina portfolio hasil kerja dia. Kalau misalnya macam I buat kat Uniza 2 hari baru-baru ni. So I share how many tools to create image, to create video, to create macam-macam lagi lah, gunakan various AI application. So all the participant kena create the real product daripada setiap satu tool, kemudian masukkan ke dalam portfolio mereka. Then saya ada share dalam Facebook bagi siapa yang follow. Then you see yang saya share tu very impressive. Dia ada berapa produk at the end of 2 days workshop. So that become dia punya workshop portfolio to showcase dia punya products. Jadi kalau kita buat ini pun kita boleh buat macam tu lah. Semua orang akan ada produk dia. At least satu scenario, simple scenario or mini scenario, satu lagi branch scenario.
Yep.
At least 2 decision point. Macam tu. Tapi CDAE, belum ada CDAE lah. Kalau dia tak jemput.
Pengarah CDAE baru ada, okey.
Dia pun tak ada bajet katanya kan. Okay lah. So tapi my last word here, basically what you have learned today is just another kind of tool, and another apa ni, technique that you can use in your toolbox. So dalam toolbox you sekarang ni dah ada satu scenario based learning. Tools you dah ada Inker Writer, Twine dan sebagainya, tambah dalam you punya toolbox. Jadi bagi siapa yang tak rajin menghadiri program-program yang CDAE buat ni, pada saya rugilah. Ya. Sedangkan saya nampak ramai senior kat sini macam Prof Syamsul, Dr. Sodi, ID dan yang lain-lain ya, yang boleh dikira sebagai dah senior lah, atau the middle punya cohort. Ramai yang datang ya. Tapi kita ada 2,000, hampir 2,000 staff akademik. Dan setiap kali kita tengok yang ada yang join, yalah, kita memang sekarang ada kelas dan sebagainya kan. Saya rasa rugilah kalau tak dapat hadir ya. Jadi kita harapkan yang tak dapat hadir tu atas sebab ada kelas dan sebagainya dapatlah menonton rakaman ini supaya dia orang learn new skill, new technique. Tujuannya supaya kita dapat memberikan pengalaman pembelajaran yang lebih interaktif, lebih aktif dan lebih berkesan ya, lebih efektif. That's the bottom line lah kepada pelajar kita. Jadi itu saja. Terima kasih kepada Dr. Aidi. Dr. Aidi want to say more ke? Do you want to say something else ya? No ya. Terima kasih kepada yang lain-lain yang dapat hadir dan saya serahkan semula kepada Puan Sarah atau Wani to close the session.
Prof, thank you so much.
Okay.
Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizing committee, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Professor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias, for all the valuable tips, as well as to our engaged participants for their active participation throughout the session. Before we dismiss, please scan or click on the link given, fill up the e-survey and clarify your attendance to ensure your CPD point. Until we meet again, inshallah, stay curious and stay inspired. But there's no need to stay hungry for today, Prof. Kan? Betul tak?
Ya, kat Uniten ada jamuan raya ni. Lepas ni saya nak pergi cabut makan jamuan.
Silakan, Prof.
Ya,
So thank you so much, Prof.
okay.
And have a
Thank
great
you.
day, everyone. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and have a
Salam.
nice day, everyone.
Take care, Prof.
Okay, bye.